Hey, if you own a 1998 Toyota Sienna and you said time to change the spark plugs, which apparently happens about every 100,000 miles, you may have been like me and thought, I've changed a lot of spark plugs. There's three of them. That job's halfway done. I mean, there's some coils on here, what they call coils, that once you undo the electrical, you can just unbolt and pull out the boot, and there the three are, just like just about any car I've ever changed spark plugs on. I'm not an experienced mechanic, by the way. But if you've looked at all the other videos online about changing the spark plugs, I've seen that changing the rear three spark plugs, which are hidden back inside underneath this intake manifold up here, you'll see in the other videos they take off the air box, they take off, this comes with it, they take off the throttle body, they take off the cables, they eventually pull a bunch of vacuum hoses, they pull a bunch of electric connections. It's just like, what are we doing here, rebuilding the engine? Next thing you know, we're removing this thing, which is held on by all sorts of bolts, and you're still not there yet, because somewhere in back behind there, you're having to reach into an impossible place to unbolt a couple of bolts that you can't see, and there's no way to get a ratchet in there, and so forth. Not to mention, in all the videos, it seems like it touches on removing the deck where the windshield wipers sit. So I just wanted to say, there's one thing you'll see that's different about this video, okay? And I'm sorry, this isn't beginning to end. This is the end, but it's very, very significant. There was there's a box here, some kind of intake or blowout box that I had to remove. There were 3 bolts. But once this deck is removed, and once you've removed that, what I'm going to call a blowout box, because I don't know what I'm talking about, all of a sudden, the amount of room you have to reach in here and work on these back 3 spark plugs is enormous. More significantly, I didn't have to unattach this. I didn't have to mess with the little bolts that hold it on back towards the firewall. I didn't have to unhook all of this. I didn't have to take off the valve, the throttle body. I didn't even have to take off the air box. If I was just willing to take off that little box or intake and take off this upper deck, which you'll see instructions for how to do that, all of a sudden I've still got to do work by feel, get back in there and remove those. But by the way, it's not very clear in other videos. Up here, the average spark plug requires at least detaching an electrical connection here, taking out a bolt here, pulling a boot out, and then you'll look down in the hole and you'll see the spark plug. Just remove it like you would any spark plug. On the back side, the only thing you have to deal with is the boot. There is no electrical connection. Thank gosh, because it's really hard to see back there. And I still haven't cracked the code on how to get a lot of these loose. So in some of the videos, I saw people removing these. I don't know why, because when I just removed one of these, I was able to take the bolt off and just lay the coil back and get in and do what I needed to on the spark plug. So anyway, if you've been looking at videos and everybody says, hey, I found a shortcut, and then you tried to repeat their shortcut and it didn't work, I'll try to post a video of the step-by-step, but I won't need to do this again for 100,000 miles, and this car already has 200,000 on it. So I just want to give you this kind of a clue. Remove 3 bolts from there. And all of a sudden you can stand over here by the side and work fairly comfortably within easy reach. Whereas if you notice in most of the videos, guys were bending over and working for like 2 hours bent over trying to squeeze your big hands back through this tiny space. That's not necessary. I have big hands and I can easily reach everything back there. So hopefully that'll help you out.